Hello, everybody. Welcome to the class number 5 of Intro to JavaScript with p5.js, create impactful media art. I hope you are enjoying the class as much as I'm enjoying teaching it. And today we're going to continue expanding on variables, and we're going to start today with random. So if you have your editor open, I would suggest go and create a new sketch, a brand new sketch, and I'm gonna show you the what we're gonna be doing today. So this is the handout and class 5. So I'm gonna click here on class 5, and I hope we get today to a little bit about conditional statement. And this is the code we're gonna be doing, and I'm gonna put it on Slack right away so you can start putting it up, adding it to your editor. So right here is the code that I just shared. Is on Slack right here on Thursday, class 22. So you can just select it and Control-C to copy, and then you want to paste it on your editor. And then I'm going to talk about what are the things we're going to look here into this code. So last week we were talking about variables, and we created a variable that was circle. So we initialize the variable with let, and then we assign a value. And I have in mind is only one equal to assign a value. And then we use the variable right here under the ellipse. So it's gonna have the position on the horizontal plane is gonna be dependent on this variable. And also we look into incrementing and changing that with the incremental tools here, the incrementation operations. So for today is the code is very similar. The only thing is we're going to add a random function. So we have the let circle x equals to 200, which is going to be the value of the variable x, circle x, and then we assign a value to circle y of 200. Then we make a canvas of 400 by 400. Then we're gonna draw start drawing. This part is the forever loop, and we're gonna have the background in black. We're gonna fill. The fill is gonna be the inside, the color of the inside, the shape, in this case an ellipse. So the ellipse is gonna be dependent on the variable circle x and circle y. So there are a couple things here that are new. The first one is the random. So we're introducing a random function here that is a built-in function for a JavaScript called random, and it's gonna oscillate between 0 and 255, the value. So we're gonna generate random numbers between 0 and 255. And that's gonna be right here on this field. So, and I have here frame rate, which is gonna slow down the how fast the animation is going so we can see the change. So if you're ready, please click play and let me know what you see. The circle is changing colors. I'm gonna run it. And it's changing colors. And it's changing in a random pattern. And anybody can knows why it's changing the colors. How, what did we add to change it? So the circle X and circle Y are fixed values because they are as we assign the value 200 and 200, so the position is going to stay fixed. But the color is changing and it's gonna be due to the function random. So yeah, correct. So the trick is that we declare a variable called R right here on line 13. And we declare it and then assign a value. So we declare let R exist, and then it's going to be equal to random. So it's going to give us a random value between 0 and 255. And you remember 255 was the value for RGB. So we have 0 would be 0 values of color, and 255 would be the maximum value for that color. And on fill, I usually put RGB, and it'll be red, green, and blue. And I'm changing what color. What color is getting the random feature. Yeah, the fill color, but what color? There's 3 colors in the fill. And the first argument is for the color red. The second argument is for the color green. And the third argument is for color blue. So which one is getting the random option of red, green, or blue? The red, exactly. So that was my choice. What I did, I reduced the number on the green, so it will give me like a pretty purple color, because if I have green, it'll mixed up and it'll give me like a brownish color. So, and then I put full label on the blue. So that's why I get these purplish colors. You can change it. You can change this and have a different customization. You can put R here too, but it won't be as pretty. So you don't get, you get a lot of blue and maybe white, but you don't get that many pretty colors. And also you don't get green. And then I can change it to these are the blue, and see what happened. I think we're gonna get similar. We're gonna, so it's getting us a lot of violet. So that's why I just put here 255, so we get more range. So you can play with this and see how it changes. One of the things you may notice is like, we don't get as many color options as we should, being a random. I don't know if you notice that. In this one, we get a random, and I can go from 0 to 55. But this is value red, and I'm not getting a lot of, and I have to slow down the frame so you can see that if I take out this frame, you won't be able to even see the change that much. See, it just flickers a lot. So that's why I slow it down. I slow the animation down so you can see the colors. So there is something particular with the random, and that doesn't allow us to get a change, a big variety of colors. So keep that in mind. One of the things to have in mind with random, you can put either a range of numbers. In this case, when we have 0 and 255, which is the range, you don't go from 0 to 255, we can, instead of writing the 0, we can just write 255. So if I take the 0 out, it'll go from 0 to 255. So the 0 is just additional. So you can just write, if you're going from 0 to another number, you're gonna get, you don't need to put 0 there. Then the other thing is, when you wanna initiate the variable like I just did here on line 13, you need to put this syntax inside a function. You cannot put this as the beginning of the function. Like if I do this and then I go and put it at the beginning with my other variables, I should get an error. So I get an error because in JavaScript, you either have to put this inside a function, like I just did, in either any function, or you wanna do this. You wanna declare the variable here, and then you don't have to declare it. So it's either or both. You either declare this variable as a global variable like we did a couple weeks ago, and then we assign it at random. So you have two options. If you wanna use the option of assign it, initialize it and assign it at the same time, you have to put this inside a function. So you can put it in the setup or the draw function. Otherwise, it's gonna give you an error. It's a JavaScript requirement. I didn't make that up. It's the law of the land. Then we have something called talking about this random. So when I did this random, I really wanted more shades between red and blue, and maybe some green. So maybe I slow down this a lot, the frame, and I still don't see a lot of variation. And this has to do with what random is. So I have placed here some information about what the random function means. And if anybody wants to learn more. So the function random that we're gonna use in p5.js and JavaScript, and is used in other languages, is what is called, is a random number generator, and it's called a pseudo random numbers. They are not truly random numbers. They are part of a algorithm that was created to build this built-in function. So they're gonna have patterns, and that's why we see here. This is not a true random. It will be a true random, we'll get greater variety of shades. But you can see after a while, seeing this animation, you are getting the same colors, the same colors. So that's what it means being a pseudo random. It's eventually the numbers are gonna give you a pattern, and they're gonna be, they're gonna repeat themselves. So that's what the random function is gonna give. So you have to keep that in mind. It's not random the same. Then a true random will be that you will never get the same number. There won't be any patterns that we can decipher. So, but it works. It works in computer science. It works so far. It works. So we use that. But there are a lot of interesting discussions about what a pseudo random number is and what a truly random number is. If you want to find that out, you can look at it. Okay, so now that we have that, we're gonna do another example with the random. So let's put this in the on Slack and try that one and see. So I put the random in the setup function. So for this one, I declare a variable, which is our size. And then I assign the random function and I put a 200 value. So it's the numbers, the random numbers are gonna be between 0 and 200. And then I'm gonna use that variable somewhere. So try it and see what you get. So anybody run it yet? And let me know what it does. Okay, it went from left to right. Good. And where is the random variable? Where are we? What is it doing? Okay, a big green circle moving from left to right is on the size. So size. So it's the third argument right here on the ellipse, which means the size. So it's changing. So in theory, anytime you click and run the program, you should get a different size. So let's try. So I get my circle. And now you're gonna see more variability, a little bit more than the colors. So you get bigger circle, and then you run it, and it gets a bigger circle. But there is also a function called mouse press. So if I press the mouse, it's gonna start, the circle is gonna start all the way to the left. So go ahead and try it. So how can you change the size of the circle in a more convenient way? So instead of just clicking the play, if I can just change it some other more ideal way. Anybody has any ideas? How can I change it, the size, and don't have to click the start button and rerun the program every time? Because right now, every time I click, I get the same size. I don't get a different size. So any ideas how, what mechanism changed so I don't have to replay? I don't have to click play to change the size. Anybody knows? So what would be ideal instead of just playing? Mouse press, correct. So the mouse press, and then I will have to put in the mouse press what would be. I will have to change something in the mouse press. Anybody has any idea? What kind of action should I put under mouse press so it changes? You don't have to tell me the code. You just tell me, so you can write it in English. It should do what under mouse press? Oh, somebody is brave. Two people are brave now. Good. Resize. Yeah, so we should put here an action, a command. Yeah, that it tells the computer resize, 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 resize. So we can just take this line here and just put it here. So we take the line 8, which is what it is. It's like an action to tell the computer, give me another size for the circle. Not even for the circle, just give me another number for this variable. So let's see if it works. I'm gonna save it and see if I'm right. So I click it. Yeah, I'm showing all these examples. So to clarify, the random cannot be outside. This part cannot be, what it cannot be outside is this. Let r size equal random um 200. this line cannot be written outside of the functions. And outside of the function is, this is a function, this is a function, this is a function. So this line cannot be here. But I can write let r size, and then here I can assign a value, and then I can assign a value here. That's good. But if you have this syntax at the beginning, it's gonna give you an error. Then you can try it. Sometimes it's good to get errors. So we're gonna put the R size under the mouse press. So anytime I press the mouse, the circle size is gonna change. So I have a question. So the R size random 200 you have above happening once is okay, but preceded with let is wrong. No, you can put let here. What you cannot do is this. I'm going to show it again. So if I put this here, let R size equal random at 200. If I run it, it's telling me here that the R size has, let me just take this, this out and this out too. So there is no confusion what's going on here. So the only thing is happening, I have let R size equal random 200 outside of the function, and then this R size is pull up, so the variable is called here. So I get an error, and you can try and see if it happens to you. So the error is random is not defined. Random is not defined and cannot access R size before initialization. So inside this function, because it doesn't know what's talking about. So now it should work. So here's the example. I have put here, let R equal random inside the function. That's gonna work. That's perfectly okay. And here, this R is calling this R. So this R knows what it is because it's, remember, it's a local variable, so it's inside. So it knows what the R is. It knows, they know each other. When I click, when I put let random here, and I take this off, it's not gonna work. It's gonna give me an error. So let's try it. This is a problem. R cannot be accessed before initialization and doesn't know what random is. But I can put it inside the function, and R know each other, and then it works. The other thing is that I was gonna put, talk about was that how come, what's the difference between this line 6 and line 11? So what will be the difference between the random in 6 and 11? So how many times that line 6 happened versus how many times the line 11 happens? So we set up the variable here. We assign a value to circle X. Then we run function setup. How many times it runs? Yeah, it runs once, perfect. And then the mouse press, how many times it runs? Forever. Think again. How many times the mouse press runs? is once, but once and something else. So remember, what does it mean mouse press? Exactly, once each click. So it's gonna run anytime I click, it's gonna change. Anytime it clicks, it's gonna change. So then we have the forever loop here, which is the draw. And you notice I didn't add the random on the forever loop. I added only at the once. So what happened is when I run the program the first time, it assigns a size to the circle. It's assigned the size to a circle. And then that size goes right here to the ellipse. So whatever the size is, it's gonna be drawn here on the function draw, right here on line 17, unless I press the mouse. If I press the mouse, the variable r size is gonna change values, and then it's gonna get draw with a value. And then if I press it again, it's gonna change values and it's gonna draw again. So that's the sequence of how this program works. This one happened only once, and it happens only, this value here is gonna happen only when you click the start. So I want you to make sure you understand the sequence. So you understand the difference of adding the random in different functions makes a big difference. So anytime I click, I change this value on ellipse, which is the size. Okay, all good? Do we understand that? Yes, good. So now, awesome. Now we're gonna push the random in we're gonna change this. So you can look at the screen and then I give you the code. I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna take it from there and I'm gonna put it here on the function draw. So if I put it, then I run it. I don't want to run it yet because I want you to look at the screen and see now the random is happening on line 15. And somebody had a question about this. This is the incremental to make sure that it goes to the right, so it moves. So that changes the position of the X. So it moves. That we did that last week. So look at here. What do you think is going to happen if I put the random on draw and already show you what's going to happen? Yeah, that means +1, correct. So what's going to happen if when I put the random inside the draw function? What do you think is going to happen? Remember, that's the one that's moving forever. Yeah, every time it draws a different size, and then it's happening really, really fast. So you can, let me share the code and use the code I just placed on Slack. And that one is going to have the R size right here. So I took it from the mouse press, so now the mouse press is not going to do anything, and it's going to go right here. So I'm going to run it, and you see it's changing really, really fast because we put it in the part of the function that is going to run forever. And then I click it, and it's going to move to the beginning, to the left. So when I click it, it's just going to move. So that's what happened when you put the random in different part of the functions. And of course, you can slow this down by getting a smaller range. So I can put 100, and maybe it doesn't change that fast, but it changed a lot. So if you like that, you can leave it like that. If not, you can put frame rate and slow it down a little bit. And then see, with the frame rate, is slow it down. And now you can see what's going on. Okay, everybody saw that. Then there is something else we can add. We can add opacity. So under fill, we can add another argument, which is gonna make it transparent. And I'm gonna have 450. So it makes it a little more opaque, but let me take out this frame rate. So that's something you can do. Oh, but let me check. I had another numbers here. So I'm gonna copy paste this one. So I'm gonna add another one here. Okay, so this one, it looks much better. I added some design to it, so it looks a little bit better. So I added a stroke, a white stroke, so it's the border, and then I changed the color now, so you can, and I had it an opacity here. So let me know which one you like better, the green one or the purple one. Yeah, I believe the purple looks much better. So this is just components of designs. You can start playing around, and also you can slow it down with frame rate. And maybe or 10. Yeah, the opacity, and there is more that you can add, but yeah, opacity is the fourth. So you can play around with that. So I think if you put 200, it gets lighter. Something like that. Let me take out this frame. Or maybe 10. I forgot what is the, yeah. So the less number, the lower the number is more opaque, and the higher the number is less opaque. So you can test it out. Okay, so let's try one with changing the RGB and putting all the RGB different randoms, and I think that's gonna be pretty. So, and that's gonna be a combination of variables. And I just put the code on Slack, and I just copy paste it and save it. And this one, I just declare variables and assign. See, I can declare these variables, and then I can assign the values. So I'm going to start with 100, red is 100, green is 200, and blue is 80. Then I'm going to have here a random to start, and then I'm going to have a random location for the X. This is for the mouse press. So no, I'm going to do it later. So I have no stroke, R size 200. So I'm going to change the size. Then the fill is going to be RGB, and then an opaque opacity. And then I have a circle X, circle Y, and R size that are going to increment. So right here, the R size is going to change anytime I run, and then it's going to change here too. And it's going to be the size. So the size of the ellipse is going to change. The circles X and Y are going to move, and the value of RGB are set up now. So I'm going to head and run it. And you see it's moving diagonal because I'm giving increments on, it's incrementing on the X and Y. So it's moving in diagonal direction. Anytime I press it, the size is going to change. So then with the mouse press, it's something more interesting. Then with the mouse press, I'm going to change the location on the X. I'm going to move the Y. I'm going to subtract it for the size of the canvas. And then I'm going to do a random of the RGB. So it's going to be a random, the fill, the values here are going to be changing randomly anytime I press. So I press here. Where is it? Not going to work now. There it is. So I press and I get a red. And then I press and then I never know where it's not going to be because I change the location of the Y. It's going to be in another direction. So if I press here, it's going to show up somewhere else. And then this one is going to show up here. So it's to add elements of variability and randomness to our design. Similar to what happened when you are doing this painting by hand, that you don't have that fine control that are computers. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I had a level of variability that replicates when artist goes through this in their experience. So see, if I click here on the left, it's going to show up on the right. So I'm going to click here and see if it cuts more. So I was just trying to add more variability so it doesn't look so perfect when you do a computer and you don't have as much control as you do when you do. So kind of simulating like what happened in real life when you try to do or learn something new. So so that's try that one and see how it works. There is a lot of variability going there, a lot of random, and you can change the numbers here. And yeah, it does. See, the circle X is a random. It's going to pick up a random location on the X. So yeah, it doesn't matter what I press. So it will be like when you have a piece of paper and you're doing watercolor and you want to paint here, but it doesn't work because it's watercolor and you never can do it perfect. So it's going to splash somewhere else. So it's kind of doing that. You don't have that control. And the Y is 400 minus Y. So if I press here, it's going to be 400 up. So it's a lot of variability going in there. So the last thing I just want to show you is the an example of what happened when you can add randomness to your design. So this is something I pick up from an example, and this is the kind of things you can do, of course, when you have more tools, but this is adding randomness to the design. In this program, you get a different shape each time, and you don't know how it's gonna work. You don't know what you're gonna get because each one is different, and it depends what it picks up. So that's the whole idea about creating art or generative art, is having some kind of given these computer instructions to draw something, but not always you're gonna have control what's gonna happen. It's very interesting premise. So that's why they call it generative art. And then next week, we're gonna start with conditionals. And in conditionals, you can add more specific situations to your conditionals. So for example, I'm gonna share this code that has a conditional. And this is the last code of the day. And then we're gonna review it next week. And let me put it here. So in this one, the condition is on the draw. So it's drawing a background. It has a stroke, which you can see the stroke is the border, the stroke weight, and it has no fill. There is no fill because we're gonna add the fill. So right here is the mouse is greater than 300, mouse X. So on the horizontal plane, if we move farther than 300, the canvas is 600, the width, the filling is gonna change. So if I hover past, it'll change. So I just have to hover. So if I'm here, it's not changing. If I'm here, not changing. If not changing, it's not change. There, it changed. And then it stays that color. And then if I go the opposite way, because it's decreasing the value of mouse X, the fill disappears. So if I go to the right, when I hit 300, which is like maybe around here, is 300, then it stays pink.